welcome to You Make the Difference. I'm Wanda Walker, and today we're talking to Kelly Camp. And I know you're going to enjoy this show because something very exciting is coming up on Saturday, April 9th, and Kelly's going to tell us all about it. I don't know how many of you were able to make the last Break Every Chain event, but we're planning another one for April the 9th. Welcome to the show, Kelly.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, you're so welcome. Tell us about the Break Every Chain event.
It is the second event that we've had in Troup County, and it's going to be even bigger and even better. It's a community outreach effort to try to gather together the leaders of the community that have sacrificed and put their whole lives into helping those that suffered with addiction, and also those that are in recovery from addiction. And it's going to be like a team effort to get out there and reach the parts of the community that need to be reached. And we'll have leaders of the community to share their experiences on what they've dealt with people that suffer from addiction, and give like an encouraging word, and we'll have those that are in recovery from addiction to give an encouraging word and maybe reach somebody that's there.
Yes, yeah. I believe so. And the last event that we had was very powerful. There were over 300 people who came to the square for the Break Every Chain event. And tell me about some of the people who will be at this event who will give their testimonies.
Okay. There's only one person giving testimony this time that gave their testimony last time. That's Lincoln Anderson, and wanted to make sure that he had a chance to give his full testimony, because in the excitement last time we carried on a little bit longer than we thought, and he didn't get to really share what I feel like needs to be shared. Lincoln has an awesome testimony, and he'll be giving his testimony, and also Anitha Hatton.
Yes.
And she's liaison for
West Georgia
Star, yeah. And she's got a good testimony too. We talked a little bit on the phone, and they're very uplifting and powerful testimonies. Also, there'll be a friend of mine that I was in treatment center with, Mandy Mullinex. She is going to share her testimony in poem form. And also, a lady that I attend a recovery group with, she's going to give a testimony, but she's not suffered with addiction. She has been the daughter and the wife of a drug addict. And I think it's important to understand that, because it doesn't just affect those of us that suffer with it. It affects everybody that loves us too. So, yeah, so there'll be a couple more testimonies. Melissa McCormick from Hogansville is going to give her testimony, and Chris Dudley from Celebrate Recovery all the way in Carrollton is coming down to do his testimony. Then we'll have leaders also. Judge Little is going to speak, and I think that's going to send a powerful message, because she does sacrifice and she pours her heart into helping those that need her help, or need help, period. And also Mark Cavender with LaGrange Police Department, he's very hands-on with addiction, so he's seen things that a lot of people haven't seen, so it's going to be interesting to hear what he's had to deal with too.
Yes. Are you sharing your testimony?
No, I'm not going to share this time.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that it is so awesome for people to hear testimonies of how God has brought them through addiction. And for those who may not be able to come to the square, I'd like for you to share some of your testimony too, because I think it's important to hear where you've come from. And also,
it is important.
Yeah. And also to hear how you got to where you are now.
Okay. Well, I suffered with addiction I started using drugs recreationally when I was 11, and was even arrested for the first time when I was 11. And I was full-blown addict by the time I was 13, and I mean everyday use. A couple of times I cut it out I was pregnant with my son when I was 16, and I was pregnant with my daughter when I was 19, and I would stop periodically for stuff like that, or I'd clean up for my probation officer or DFACS or whatever I had to do, but it was never It was never a want to inside of me. And most importantly, I knew who God was, but I didn't know who God was. You know, I've heard the name, but I didn't know anything. And a seed was planted in me the first time at Hope Harbor. I had already been an IV drug user for 8 years at that point, and I had 16 felonies on my record. I'd never been to prison. I've seen deliverance, and looking back, I can see deliverance in every situation in my life. And I learned a lot about God at Hope Harbor. But when I walked out of there, and I really feel like I did take in what I learned, but when I walked out of there, life slapped me in the face. And, you know, it was like, here's your kids, here's your bills, here's your responsibilities, and I had zero coping skills, none. Mm-hmm. So I turned back to the one thing that I knew would make me feel better, and downhill from there, and back into the worst part of my addiction, actually. For 17 years, it cost me 13 trips to jail, 5 times in treatment centers. It cost me everything I loved and cared about. It cost me custody of all 3 of my kids, relationships with my family. It even cost me my life for a few minutes once. And I still didn't stop. Mm-hmm. I tried. I went to treatment, but the thing was, I tried. I tried to clean me up. I didn't let God clean me up, and I didn't depend on Him to help me. And last year, I got in trouble again. I got a DUI, and I was in jail again, and it shouldn't have been anything new to me. You know, I know that lifestyle, but this time it was different for me. It was like, he brought me to my knees, and it was this, you're going to do this. This is what I'm calling you to do. And I listened, and I believe that, and something just happened inside of me where I don't want that life anymore. I really don't. I want to follow you, and I want to know what you have for me. And so September 16th, I walked out of the jail again, something else I should have been used to, but this time I didn't have any shoes on, and it was very humbling. They lost my shoes, but I think there was something very symbolic in walking out of there with no shoes on and being humbled. And I remember thinking when I was walking up the driveway, because anybody that's ever been in jail, you get away from there as fast as you can. You know what I'm talking about. But I was walking up the street, and the rocks were starting to hurt my feet. And right when I started to complain, I heard in my spirit, do you think I had on any shoes when I carried my cross for you? So I decided right there when I was walking that I wasn't going to turn back. I wasn't going to go back to the relationship that I was in. I wasn't going to go back to my addiction. I wasn't going to go back to that lifestyle. And things have been so much better. I mean, you hear people say freedom, joy, and peace, and it's easy to say it, but it's so much better to feel it, you know. And I'm walking in that now. I can walk in that freedom and that peace and the joy, and know that it's supernatural, that He's given it to me, because I've never felt like anything like that before. I have 2 of my children back. Hopefully the 3rd one will be home soon, my baby, and everything is so much better. And now I have like a fire in me to pull other people out, because I know what they're going through. And there was a point where I thought, I'll never make it out of this alive, and don't even know if I want to. But thank God that's not the plan He had for me.
Yes. So if somebody's watching, Kelly, that's struggling with drug addiction right now, what is it that you would say to them or tell them that you feel would help pull them out of that fire?
That's not who you are. That's what someone told me. That's not who you are, and you need to get the head knowledge that's in your head about who you are in Christ, and that He loves you, and that He died for you, and He's created you to be His prize. Get that into your heart and start to believe it. And believe that that's not your purpose, and that life is better, and that He came to give you abundant life. And just start to realize that who you are in Him and who He says that you are. And I can offer the encouragement that it's not as hard as you think it's going to be to get out of it.
Yes.
If you just start to trust in Him and pull on Him for strength, He will help you up.
Yes. And you know, one of the things that that I like to encourage is, how sometimes people say, I'm an addict, and
no, you're not.
Yeah, no, you're not. No, you're not. You're a victorious overcomer, and that's who God's made you to be.
Right.
And so, if we can grab hold to that truth,
that's right,
that we're a victorious overcomer, and there's nothing that comes our way that God will not take us through. And so we can't help but overcome those things, because that's who God made us to be. And we got that overcoming spirit in us.
Yeah.
Yes. So, it is so great to see someone who has grabbed hold and believed that and come through. And really, it's been a short time since you grabbed hold, and you have just soared with it. And even with the setting up of the Break Every Chain event, you have gotten tremendous support from the community.
Yeah.
Talk about some of that support that you've gotten.
Everybody helps. I have met no resistance, not at the last event or at this one. I'll start by saying this: not only do my family and friends support it. When I first mentioned it, I thought they may be like, you can't pull that off. But I didn't care. I was going to do this, and I was going to do it anyway. And everybody that I've talked to, you and the Wardlaws, everybody else has just got in it and encouraged.
Yes.
And that's a big part of it, because if I didn't feel like I had a little bit of support, I wouldn't have went through with an idea of anything. But reaching out to people in the community, everybody has just jumped on board. PC Screen Printing, I want to say something there. Not only did they donate all the flyers and posters for the first event, they're donating again this time, and also doing us a really, really good deal on t-shirts. And
yes,
I thought it was going to be way too much, but it's not. It's not. Not only is she sponsoring it, and her son, who is in recovery, he's sponsoring it too. Everybody else that I even mentioned it to was, right in there with the idea. Mud Creek Graphics, they donated banners for the last event, but we put the date and the location on them. Those banners aren't cheap.
Yes.
So I went to them this time and I said, okay, I need some banners like that without the date and location, because I think we're going to be doing this a few times, and I didn't realize last time we do it again. Well, they didn't charge anything. They donated the same banners without the date and stuff again. Our Reformers Unanimous, Celebrate Recovery, they're helping us with the paper chains again. Also, this time, Grace Baptist Church Youth Group is doing chains, as well as anybody else that has contacted me on Facebook said they might bring some chains. There's so many people. Christian Families Today is a sponsor for the shirts, and I thought that was awesome, because I've only met him once, and he's got a pretty powerful testimony.
Yes, he does. That's Greg Brazina.
Yes.
Yes. He played football.
Yes.
And has a counseling service up in Newnan.
Yeah.
Called Christian Families Today, and you went up there and shared what you wanted to do, and he supported it.
Yeah. They teach the identity message. So
yes, who you are in Christ.
That's right, and that is the key to freedom. That is the key. Let's see, who else? Grace Covenant Church is donating equipment for this event. So is Faith Baptist Church. Three Life Church is donating some tents and tables. There's so much. I'm trying to think of everybody. Philip Richardson at Faith Baptist Church is doing the sound, and he has a testimony too. But you know what? I called him because the guy that did such a good job with sound last time was booked this time, and I called him at the last minute. And this is not an easy task. That's probably the hardest thing to do out there.
Yes.
And he was like, yes, we'll be there. We'll help you with this. So addiction, recovery, and it's not always addiction from substances. Recovery covers a lot of bases. People are touched by it, and they jump in and want to help. So, a lot of support.
How is this event going to be different from the last event that we had?
Well, we learned some things at the last event. Testimonies are important and they're powerful. So in order to share share a powerful testimony, you need a little bit more time or not as many. So we're going to cut back on the number, and it's plenty of time because we're going to do more of these. So testimonies will be a little bit longer and not as many of them. The community leaders will speak the same as last time. The message is still the same, that we're all in this together, that we are the church, that
Right.
God is calling us all in one accord to work together. That's the message. This time we're going to serve hamburgers and hot dogs, and lunch is provided. We're going to have T-shirts that we're going to give away to the first 100 people to show up. There also will be a flash mob dance, and I think that's going to be fun because we're adding a little bit more entertainment in, and 808, they are so awesome. And I want people to, they're very spirit-led. I want people to experience that. And at the last event, because it went so long and they played at the end, a lot of people missed that. So we're going to let them open up this time so that people do get to experience that and listen to the praise music while they eat their lunch. And
Yes.
this one's going to be great.
So we'll start serving lunch around 11:30.
Yep.
And the event will last until 2.
Till 2.
Yes, and so tell me, with the flash mob, we want people, if they're interested in participating, to contact us, right?
Yes.
And the flash mob, what we're talking about is that we're going to do a presentation to Shackles, which is like, take the shackles off my feet and let me
Yes.
dance.
Yeah.
Just want to praise him. All right, so if there's a step team out there that would like to participate, or if there's a dance team that would like to participate, we want them to contact us, and you can contact the station and they'll get in touch with us and let us know. If you play an instrument, if you play a trumpet, or if you play a clarinet, anything like that,
Or flags or batons, any way you worship.
yes, just let us know that you'd like to participate, and we'll plug you in.
Yeah, it's
And
gonna
so,
be great.
yeah, we're going to work all of that out this afternoon.
Yes.
So, yeah. All right. Now, tell me why you named this event a recovery revival.
Because recovery is, for me and for I know a lot of people, that word jumps out at you when you are in recovery from something, and it's very significant to call it a recovery revival because we are recovering. And the revival is because it's time to get excited about that.
Yes.
And it is exciting when anybody that comes, there's a lot of excitement from the whole entire community. The excitement is, I feel like, it's going to be fueled into the aftercare center that we're trying to get started.
Yes. And so, really, the Break Every Chain event was the result of us trying to provide funding for an aftercare
That's right.
center.
Yes.
And so that was generated for that. And then we found that the recovery center that we wanted to come here wasn't coming here, but we had the event anyway. And yes, and it was great. And the event by itself is just so powerful. But it also fueled that desire still for us to have an aftercare center for women who have addiction. And Troup County doesn't have anything like that.
We need it.
That's right. And so tell us about the interest and the things that have been done so far to move that forward.
Well, there's been a lot of meetings that have taken place with other facilities in Georgia that have done this type of thing, and we've talked to a lot of people that have actually started the process, but then we've talked to some people that are in the process.
Yes.
And for every bad thing you hear, there's 2 good things. Like every time someone says it's hard, 2 more people say it can happen. And
right.
for every time someone says nobody's going to go, somebody else says they're beating down the door.
Yes.
So I really, really feel like it's coming. It's going to be here. I know it is. I declare it's coming.
It is coming.
And it's needed because, like at the last Break Every Chain, 4 of us were Hope Harbor graduates that left there and relapsed. And not because at all that Hope Harbor didn't give us the tools to work with, but because we didn't have the right kind of support when we left there. You know, our families weren't very educated on, you know, what do we do with this, and they're just trying to help, but sometimes they make it worse. And you know, I know you want your kids, and here's you a house, but when all that responsibility comes on you, you don't know what to do. And I think the aftercare center is going to be important, because if something like that would have been available, I don't think I would have relapsed, and I don't think that Katie Baker would have relapsed, or Brittany McNair would have relapsed.
Yes.
I think we all would have climbed on up, you know, back into society and transitioned back to where we were supposed to be mothers and productive citizens. And
yes, and some of the things that are so interesting to me, that once the talk about the aftercare center started, we began to hear of people that might help us.
Yeah.
And even, you know, I got a call from Dr. Beverly Willis, who started the House of Time down in Columbus, which is a home that was started to help women who were homeless and addicted. And she is moving to LaGrange. And
coincidence? No.
No. And it was like she and her husband were praying about where they should locate. Her husband is coming out of the military, and they didn't know exactly where they wanted to settle, and so they both prayed about it, and they were in separate locations, and they were talking on the phone, and one of them said, "The Lord's told me where we're to go," and the other one said, "He's told me too." And so they said, "Well, we're going to count to 3, and we're both going to say it." And so they said 1, 2, 3, and both of them said LaGrange.
Wow.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes. And so they're coming here and willing to help in the aftercare. And there are other people in the community who are very supportive of that. So we are believing that that's going to happen, and we know it's going to happen.
It is going to happen.
We're just going to walk that out.
Yeah.
Well, Kelly, since you've come this far in your recovery, I know that you're discovering things that God has for you.
Yeah.
And so tell me where you see yourself going.
I'm actually in school now to get my bachelor's of behavioral health science, especially in addiction education and counseling, because I feel like God is telling me that you have the experience, it'll get you some education, and I think that's important for a counselor, because I have been in several treatment centers, and only one of my counselors had been through addiction, and because of that, she helped me the most.
Yes.
Because it and no offense to anybody that hasn't, I mean, praise God you didn't, but as someone that was in addiction, I wanted to hear from somebody else that got out of it.
Right.
Not, you know, I knew it was possible, but I just didn't think it would apply to me. But hearing from Miss Darlene Delaney, it gave me a little bit of inspiration. I want to be that inspiration to somebody else. I want to sit there and say, I know exactly what you're feeling like. And I believe I will, because I've been through a lot of trials in my life. I've experienced a lot of hardships, and there's not much that somebody's going to say they're going through that I'm not going to know what it feels like and how to get out of it.
Yes. And you know, that just reminds me of, like, you know, if you're in a building and it's collapsing and you see the way out, then you can go back in and show those people that way
Snatch
out.
them out. Yeah.
That's right. And so it is helpful to listen to people who know the way out.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, they found it.
And that's what I want to be. I have an overwhelming desire to help people, like to say what I know, like what He's put inside of me. I can't shut up about it. I can't contain it, because I know it, and I know that I know it. And
yes,
people listen.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
You're an expert.
Yeah.
Yes, and so you know, God restores everything.
Yeah.
The restoration of all things. That's what He does. Tell me how God has restored things in your life, like your family relationships with your children and those kinds of things. Tell me some of those things.
Okay. I'll start with my mom. We were close when I was a small child, and she was a great mother. But when I started getting in trouble, and we just started butting heads, but because I was rebelling and she was authority and I didn't want a part of it. So for 17 years, I had her on a roller coaster ride, and I mean, she tried to be there and tried to support, but we didn't get along very good because I didn't want to hear what she had to say. And when she would say to me sometimes, "Why can't you just look at them kids and stop?" I hated when she said that.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know why, and it just made me feel worse. And there were times that I couldn't look in the mirror because of things that she would say. She was just trying to help. Well, now my mama's my best friend, and she's so proud, and I've never seen that look on her face, and if I have, I don't remember it.
Yes.
So she's a very proud mama. And my dad too. My dad was an addict as well, but he actually got off of the drugs that he was on when I went to Hope Harbor on his own after like a 30-year addiction, because he's seen it affect his child. My children, this time 2 years ago, I was in a coma in ICU, and my kids didn't come up there, and they didn't cry, and they were numb because I'd done this kind of thing to them all the time. And my mama said, my son told her that they were prepared to lose me. Nobody thought that I was going to survive the things that I've been through.
Yes.
And now my kids, it has been restored. I mean, it's a challenge to get back to the right relationship. Like, I'm the mother, you're the child.
Yes.
But they can't get enough of me. You know, they're mama's babies, and they're very resilient, and they don't hold any grudges, and they don't talk about the past. I said the other day, because I'm still waiting to get my driver's license back, that I'll be so glad when I get a license. And my daughter was like, "Don't talk about that. That's in the past, Mama. You've overcome that." So
that's right.
They're very positive, and to be what to have been through what they've been through, I'm amazed by the way they're positive about everything. It impresses me, and it encourages me.
Yes.
My baby, I gave up guardianship of her last year, and it's been a long, long, hard road, and it's been a thorn in my side. But I have been obedient, and I have fought my way through hard days, and you know that.
Yes.
And I got an email yesterday that the judge is fed up and ready to terminate, and we are going to court Monday. And
Yes. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. And so join us on the square on Saturday, April the 9th at 11:30 for the next Break Every Chain event. We'll see you next week.